Welcome back. You're listening to the Mike Gray Real Estate Hour, heard every weekend on AM 1380. I'm Mike Gray with Morris Williams Realty, and my co-host and new show partner for this last segment is David Stone from the Stone Consulting Group. So good to have you, David.
It is really great to be here, Mike.
Good. And again, as I shared it toward the end of the last segment, that when it comes to financial planning, it is so complex, and there's so many different financial products out there. You need somebody right beside you who you can trust, who really has your best interest after making sure that that's what they're really looking after. And David has that type of personality and that type of history and experience. So we're glad that you are a show partner. And I kind of like to put you on the spot here during this last segment. Let's see how good you really are, okay?
On the spot.
But I'm going to warn you here. People have put me on the spot about what the market's going to happen, especially for interest rates, and I've been wrong the last 2.5 years. So you're not.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah. So I got to be honest about that. So you don't have to worry about not always being with a group that's always
That's right.
right. Okay.
Well, the forecast is the forecast.
It
right?
is. We don't all have a crystal ball. But I found something happening that was quite surprising to me at the end of 2016. I kind of want to get your feedback on it. We had a surprise person win the presidential election.
Yes, we did.
And that evening, I saw the futures, because some of my retirement portfolio is in the stock market.
Okay.
I mean, I'm diversified. I have rentals and stuff because I believe in complete diversification, just like you do.
Right.
And I remember watching the returns on the election and thinking, I should have pulled my money out of there.
You were worried, huh?
Well, the futures were down drastically.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just staggering. And I was kind of terrified. And to be honest, at late that night, if I would have had the ability and the knowledge, I may have pulled the trigger on that. Now, I didn't. And then, lo and behold, in the last 7 weeks of 2016, it just, we had a 10 to 12% increase, maybe even a bit more, depending on what stocks you're invested in.
Right.
And my portfolio, my stock, looks a lot stronger now. And so why did that happen?
Well, it's interesting. You're right. The Dow futures were down 700 points when it looked like Mr. Trump was going to become the president of the United States.
Yes.
And in fact, I actually had a client who, in that, panicked and sold 100% of their portfolio to cash that they had in their 401k because they had control to do that.
Okay.
Called me and left me a message. Hey, I did this. And so I said, don't do that. You got to change it. Right. You got to immediately buy back. So he'd already made the decision to sell out. And because of that, he missed a 300-point day. Right. Which the first day wasn't the big day. It was the second day, actually. That was the big day after the election. And
is there a reason for how all of this? Is it just because people are anticipating, better economy because of it? Or
Well, I think there's a lot of different reasons why. If you look at history, Mike, you look back and say, what causes the market to do what it's doing? And sometimes we'll say, well, if Trump is president, it's going to go up or it's going to go down. And quite frankly, it's not necessarily the Democrats or the Republicans that are in Congress, but it has to do with who controls the House, who controls the Senate, who controls the White House. Okay. If all three are controlled by the same party, typically you see a little bit better result in the market if you could look at history.
Yes.
So since November 8th, we've had it was a 5% gain in the S&P 500.
Okay.
Total return of 12%. That includes the reinvestment of dividends.
Right.
So, forecasting where things are going to go. I mean, that's the U.S. market. S&P 500, 12% total return. The EFA index, which is Europe, Australasia, Far East, that's the international marketplace. They were a positive 1, and they were lucky to be positive 1 because they were negative for much of the year. But why does that happen? It really has to do with the individuals out there that are making the investment management decisions, and institutional investors typically can drive a market one way or another.
Well, I mean, it's good. I also agree with you. Is don't make rash decisions, because again, I like my retirement portfolio. Even though I'm getting closer and closer to realizing that I might be accessing that down the road. It just let it work. Let it work for you.
If you would have called me, I would have tried to talk you off the ledge,
and that would have been good. All right.
Don't jump, Mike. Don't jump. Just hang on.
Again, that's the real value of having somebody who has your best interests at heart, but also has the experience and the knowledge to kind of look through the history, kind of look at the pros and cons. and making sure you're not making an emotional decision when it comes to some of those long-term financial programs.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
If you have any questions about investing, I really encourage you, give me a call. I'm going to put you in touch with David. The number here for the show is 530-431-8586. Have somebody right beside you he can trust. He'd be more than willing to go over your financial needs. He's a good person to have right beside you. Thank you so much for listening this week. We're going to be back every weekend. David's going to be back every weekend.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be great to have you. Have a great week, everybody, and I'll talk to you next week.